So today I am at Bourbon House Cafe here in East Legon, Accra, and I'm gonna have a conversation with Rashad McCrorey. He has been enstooled as a tourism chief in the central region, just outside Elmina, and I would love to have this great conversation and share it with you so that you can learn more about why he became enstooled as a chief and what he's gonna be doing for the community.
First, I want to thank my mom and my dad, my family, my sisters, my brothers, my kids, my friends, my family in the United States. I want to thank the Omanhen and the Edena Traditional Council, the royal family of Itre, the Itre community, Itrehen, for this wonderful day, for believing in me, for trusting me, for giving me opportunities to prove myself. This is only the first day of weeks, months, and years of prosperity, thanksgiving, and blessings to everyone. I'm excited.
So Rashad McCrorey is an African American who has been working in the travel industry. He's an entrepreneur and has been working in the travel industry for many years. He's been already encouraging people to come to the continent of Africa. And then it turned out that he came to Ghana in 2020 with a group, and it was just before the pandemic hit. And when it hit, it really hit hard to the point where everybody knows borders were closed everywhere, countries were basically shut down, and he made the decision to stay in Ghana. For those of you who didn't see the interview that I did with him talking about that, check the link in the comments and in the description box of the video where I talk about that whole journey with him, and you can learn more about his background. But today there is an update about what's going on with Rashad. He's been in Ghana 2 years now. The travel industry is picking up again. People are starting to make the trip to Ghana, and he's had a major event that I want to talk to him about today, and it's one that is not to be taken lightly. So I'm so happy he took the time out of his busy schedule to join me today. We're sitting in Bourbon House Cafe here in East Legon. So, you know, there's an event that's going to be happening here. There's a pop-up. There's people walking around. So you're going to hear a little bit of background sound, perhaps, throughout our conversation. But thank you so much for taking the time today to chat with me. What is the big announcement that has happened for you?
Oh, you tell.
Oh, I should tell. Okay, so Rashad has become a chief. He is a tourism chief. And I mean, the first one. And I think this is a really huge thing to acknowledge because you've already been bringing people to Ghana. And I think that the community recognized that. And to put you into that type of position is a huge responsibility. There are people, we do hear stories of, who come to Ghana and get enstooled as development chiefs in communities where they're helping to serve, helping to make changes. But this one, as a tourism chief, basically it's almost like being a tourism ambassador for that community and for the country overall. So number one, I would love to know, how did this come to be? Because there are a number of people who are promoting tourism, but they weren't chosen to become chiefs. What happened?
Not yet.
Not yet. So you're the first. So what is it? I mean, I guess it's setting a precedent, because now that it's been done, now others may be considered in other communities. So what is it that led to this development?
Well, I've been living in Itre, a subtown of Elmina, for almost 2 years now. I've been living in Ghana a little over 2 years as a whole. And what set me apart from other individuals was the family appreciated that I actually took being a family member and living with them seriously. For the last almost 2 years, it'd be 2 years like next month. So for the last 2 years, I've been paying my family dues every month, attending family meetings, paying the funeral fees in terms of like each family member supposed to put up a minimum contribution. Then on top of that, doing my investments. Again, I've been going to the family meetings every month. I really became part of the family, part of the community. And they didn't look at me as a foreigner or a Black American living amongst them anymore. They took me in as a family member. and they said, we want to honor you with the chieftaincy title. And at first I was a little apprehensive. I've heard of developmental chiefs, no disrespect, a lot of people look at that as just ceremonial stools, temporary. You know, if you don't do anything for 2-3 years, they could just destool you and bring in someone else. And the family said, no, Rashad, we want to give you a real Ghanaian stool. And I'll talk more about that later. And I said, okay, what's the title going to be? And they was like, we don't know yet. We'll sort it out. You know, I took that term too. We'll sort it out. Yeah. And maybe even as recently as now, going into about 2.5 weeks ago, that's when they introduced the title of Chief of Tourism. To give people a little bit more background story, the first town that enstooled me is the town of Ytrae, again, which is the subtown of Elmina. Elmina, as you know, is the home of, or as most of you know, the home of the original door of no return, where a lot of enslaved Africans were sent off to the Americas, not to come back until, you know, hundreds of years later. And the way they felt was, Rashad, you're one of the top tour operators, you know, for Black Americans in the world. You take Black Americans all over Africa. This is what you do, so we want to honor you in something that you're a part of, but we wanted to give you more than a ceremonial stool. We want to give you a stool that is actually that will be actually recognized in the community. And once we did my swearing in, and then we went to the paramount chief of Elmina, Oman Hen Nana Edna Kojo VI. He said, you know, I want you to represent me also in Elmina. And what I will do for you is I'm making you part of the traditional council. We're going to send your name to the National House of Chiefs and have you gazetted so people know that this is a real stool that's being honored for you out here in Elmina. When they first told me tourism chief, I was like, hey, you made that up. You know, I was like, this is made up. I never heard of tourism chief. And they're like, no, you're going to be the first. And I thought about it. I was like, wow, I'll be the first. It's in a natural flow of my life. You know, I do tourism. I'm not a doctor being called developmental chief and I'm paying for developments out of my doctor's salary or a lawyer or ambassador somewhere else and I'm paying out of my own pocket or through my own investments. I actually do tourism. I actually love traveling. I actually am an ambassador already. So it's a stool that I can manage and craft that's in a natural flow of my life. So when I started thinking about it more and more, I was like, yo, I love my title. I love this title. It's titled enstooled Hen. You know, I want to go look and see. Hen is Hen because I'm in a Fanti town. Elmina, the chief is called Hen. Akan, that's when you hear Henny. So you hear in Kwason Henny, Safo Henny. But in Elmina and Fanti language, it's just Hen, Safo Hen, and Kwason Hen. Enstooled Hen, which is me, Chief of Tourism. And right now, I'm just honored. I'm taking a mantle. I'm going to run with it. I have so many ideas because a lot of people think tourism is just, hey, let me take you here, let me take you there, let me take you to some tourist attractions, let's go have some fun, let's go eat some food. Yeah. But what people don't really understand, and tour operators and tour guides, we don't get enough credit for it, and I'm giving you, any other tour operator or travel person, credit for this, but it's planning, strategic thinking, branding, marketing, financing, budgeting, and it's also an element of security and safety. Right. And it's not only safety for your travelers traveling to foreign countries to make sure that they're not harmed, but it's also protecting the countries from your travelers. Me being Black American per se, you know, we are demanding. Some people do like to take advantage, whether they're taking advantage of women or they're taking advantage of men. Women, y'all take advantage of men too, you know. That's a whole other story. That's a whole nother story. We have a lot of stories. Or just exploiting people. We talk about colonialism and imperialism. So it's also our responsibility, or I'll speak for myself right now, my responsibility to also protect my village and my town, all of Elmina, from my guests also and other travelers also, that we're not being taken advantage of also. So I do take the role of tourism chief seriously. It's a blessing. I'm so happy with the stool because I don't have to change. I'm not talking about the formality.
Right, because it's part of what you're already doing. So it's not like you're suddenly being put into something where you're now trying to learn everything. And I think the important part is because you've been part of the community, it kind of gives you a little bit of an advantage when it comes to tourism because you understand the people who are already there. What are some of the things that you're going to do for the community you've been enstooled in that you think will attract tourists to come there? Because people go to Elmina, but they just typically go to the slave fort to go and look at the dungeons, get that experience, the door of no return, the door of return. What other things about Elmina and the community surrounding it are you going to showcase as a tourism chief?
In terms of just my specific town that instilled me, Ytre is the gateway to Elmina. Coming from the Accra Road, you can't get to Elmina Slave Dungeon or Elmina Slave Town without going through Ytre. Ytre is also a place that's historic because it's the place where they say three rivers meet. The Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Guinea, and also Sweet River. They all converge at the bridge leading to Ytre, which has a vast history. You're familiar with, we had a conversation. I promised him I'll call him Nana Edu. But it's also Rabbi Kohen, the creator of Panafest. He created Panafest. If you've been to Panafest, if you've heard of Panafest, he has a restaurant in Ytre. Ytre has a rich history. So one of the things that I'm also working on with Ytre is branding the town. Branding the village.
It's very important because a lot of people don't know that. It's often just said, One Africa, it's between Elmina and Cape Coast. To say that it's between the two, but not to actually name that it's in Ytre.
Now it's Nana Edu. I promise I'll call him Nana Edu. But most people in the, diaspora community here in Ghana know Rabbi Kohen. Mabu's Table, that's in Ytre. So it's a powerful land with a powerful history going back hundreds of years. So one of the first things I want to do is help the community brand. I want that inside of a book. Now that's just on the tourism front. As I explained to you before, there's so many, I didn't deal with infrastructure. There's so many different things that tourism have to do, but also being a chief, I am also responsible for development. So one of the projects that I'm working on now is I'm working on having 10 to 12 Zoom Lion garbage bins disposed throughout the town. Ytre is about 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer.
So it's a small town.
It's a small town. It's big enough to give me something to do, but small enough for it to be realistic.
And it's an important town, regardless of its size.
Yeah. Other people say, look at Israel, look at the UK. These are tiny countries with so much power. This is a small village. That's just the strategic location has its strategic location. It has its benefits and it has its history. So we're working on building a new palace for the community, for the royal family. We're working on our first steps to going towards a school. I already secured finances for 7 scholarships. For young women, they want me to stick to traditional roles. So I'm honoring that right now. So when I tell you, I know these are more traditional lines of work, but for young ladies, we're doing fashion school, beauty school, home economics. For the young men, we're doing carpentry and electrician. And so far, I secured scholarships for 7 young people. If you're interested in investing in young women or young men, please contact me. But I also started pitching computer technology and internet cafe and things. And they go, oh, Rashad. I'm out in Elmina. I'm not in Accra. I'm way out in Elmina. Oh, Rashad, stick to the traditional worlds. But I'm working on it. Because when you start talking about Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, let's put it that way, cryptocurrency, NFTs, the internet, YouTube, and things like that, that's a way, I'm trying to get them open to the idea more of courting American dollars, not working so hard for CDs that don't stretch. Work for the dollar, work for the euro, work for the British pounds without compromising your African roots and traditions. So as far as for the village of Ytre, we had several meetings within the community and they expressed their needs, and we so far started building plans and outlines for both all short-term, medium, and long-term goals. One of our long-term goals is building a school. One of our medium-term goals is actually having nurses and healthcare workers flying from the States and do checkups and actually be able to write prescriptions to send to the hospital.
Wow.
The nearest hospital from Ytrae is Interburton Hospital in Cape Coast, which is about a 20-25 minute drive. You know, people can't just go back and forth just, you know, all the time like that. So we want to find ways from abroad, but also from the region also, where healthcare officials can come to the land, come to the village, at least, you know, quarterly.
Right.
So we have a lot of ideas that we've been talking about. I take the role seriously because, again, as you explained earlier, when I was here in Ghana and I was, you know, looking for a place to stay and I decided to stay in Ghana, I actually found a family. Mm-hmm. Even my Black American friends out here be like, oh, you're always with the Ghanaians. And I'd be like, you know, I have trust issues. They earn my trust. So, you know, it's a wonderful experience and I'm very happy.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So the ceremony happened last weekend. What was the highlight of the ceremony for you?
It was all a highlight. I'll pick out certain highlights, but it was just all, I did a good job at being present. I wasn't worrying about the past. I wasn't worrying about the future. I did a good job in taking in each and every moment. So I'll give you some of the highlights in order. You know, when I was sitting, they put me in a small room at one of the sites, and I was inside. Actually, let me go back to the snatching. The snatching is when they just surprise you and take you away.
Okay.
I always thought a snatching would be 4 big, strong men, put a bag over my head and throw me into a car, you know? But Nana Edu, they actually set me up with Nana Edu, and I'm having a conversation with him, and then I hear all these drums and all these bells, and then almost the whole village, a lot of people from the town, but primarily the village, all came, and it was like a parade. They poured powder all over me. Poured snaps at my feet, and they escorted me from Mabel's table, past One Africa, down the road, and to the village, to the palace. Where, I'm sorry, not the palace, to the shrine,
okay,
where they perform rituals, and then they almost pretty much locked me up for 2 days.
2 days?
For 2 days. It's supposed to be 7 the way they explained it to me. Like traditionally it's 7.
Right.
But for me they did 2.5 days. I think I went in Wednesday afternoon, and then, you know, I wasn't able to leave until Saturday morning.
Okay.
You know, like I said, I had a little heads up,
right,
but I didn't know, I thought it was gonna be 4 people, grab me up, big, strong. I'm a big dude, so they need a real big, strong man, throw me in a car somewhere. You know, I didn't know that it would be like a real parade and a real spectacle in a positive way.
Yeah.
Also, again, the morning of my enstoolment, when I was waiting inside for them to kind of take me down the same road again to the palace to do the swearing, I didn't think it would be so many different people. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it would be so many people at the swearing in and walking down the roads, and you know, because I personally wasn't sending out invites like that. I was just setting up, I was setting up everything else.
Yeah.
And it felt good to see how happy the people was, and people seemed genuinely happy for you. You never know who feels, nobody's gonna be 100% happy for you in all area, but just to see the joy, because even internally within me, I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what's coming, and but like, as far as, I wasn't saying, all right, let's see what happens. I'm like, yo, this is something that's natural for me. Mm-hmm. When we went to the Omahen Palace, Nana Edna Kwajo VI, the Paramount Chief of Elmina, during the ceremony there, he also brought up my dedication to the Ghanaians, to the Elmina, to the village, to even my influence in Elmina, how you've heard about me even before this. And when they brought him to me, they was like, oh, I've heard of him before. And, he said that he was gonna, like, I think I might have said this already, I don't know. But he announced that, he want me to be a part of the traditional council. He's acknowledging me in front of everybody that I'm part of the traditional council. He's going to send my name to the House of Chiefs, and I'm going to be gazetted. That takes time, but that also lets me know it's not just a ceremonial stool. It's not just so for any tour operators, Ghanaian places, whether you're in Jamestown, I already talked to Niadu in Jamestown. I was like, this is something that you can get, show your chief this, and just other places, whether it's Abri, whether it's Kumasi, Bati Falls, any Cape Coast, any place that's really banking in on tourism, you can kind of advocate the need for that stool, over time, whoever, because it brings in money. It brings in security. Like Egypt, I was reading an article just yesterday, and they was talking about the African countries with the most millionaires. South Africa was number 1, Egypt was number 2, Ghana was down around number 9. And I say, Egypt is number 2. And I remember on our tours to Egypt, I do tours to Egypt also, we discuss how 80% of Egypt's income comes from tourism.
That's a huge number.
That's a huge number, 80%. That's why technically Egypt is safe for tourists, because anybody who attacks tourists or does something to the tourism industry, they're really held accountable. That's like one of the, major things to do. Like, they make sure police escorts we have and everything, they make sure tourists stay safe, because if Egypt tourism sector goes down, the whole economy crashes out in Egypt,
Right, wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, this is really, really great that you've been put into this position. I want to congratulate you.
You win too.
Thank you.
Ivy has been so supportive of me. I'm talking about, like, if you Google my name, Ivy has some, people will contact me and be like, yeah, I want to do this with you. Oh, how did you hear about me? Oh, this article from Beyond the Return. This article from Black Star. I saw you on YouTube. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for making the time to come and talk about this new chapter for you. And I'm looking forward to seeing, what's in store and how this is opening the doors for others to also become tourism chiefs in different parts of the country.
And hold the chieftaincy, hold the position. If you attain it one day, hold it with pride, because they could easily turn this into a tourism or a ceremonial stool. This can easily be a ceremonial stool. Some random tour operator who bring 5 people a year, say, make me your tourism chief, and then next thing you know, it has a bad reputation. So I encourage people who really take tourist life seriously and bringing people and holding real power and holding real strength and bringing like a strong economy, because you don't want to be the reason. You don't want to be examples of why this stool shouldn't be taken seriously. Because I know I'm going to do my best to make sure that
I know you will.
the Mezi Khan, the first, is going to make sure he try his best to set a real president and make the bar high.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Rashad, for your time today, and I'm wishing you all the best. I feel like, what am I supposed to do now? Should I be bowing?
You've been doing well so far. Yes. I need to know what I can do. I was holding a plastic bag one day, and they was just like, you can't hold that plastic bag. You need to have a nice bag with you. You can't. It's gonna be all right. A lot of crafting.
It's gonna be all right. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I'll put his information into the description box, as well as I'll pin it to the top of the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to share this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.